Hey! Woohoo! 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 Super excited about tonight's interview. While I have you here, I'm going to very quickly invite our author on. I'm super excited to be interviewing this guy today. He is one of my favourite authors. He has such a powerful message. Motivation through music. I think everyone has a tune, everyone has a song that picks them up, they cry to. Everyone has all these music they can relate to. It changes their lives, changes their mood, alters their state. This guy's wrote about his whole journey through music, and I'm just so excited to be interviewing him. Woohoo! So I've just invited him on, so hopefully it won't be much longer, and then we can bring him on the video. So this guy is a #1 best-selling author. He's also an international best-selling author. Super proud of Matthew. Here he is, he's on. Woohoo! So I can bring him on. If you too want to be a best-selling author, we currently have a competition running where you can win for free. Yep, for free. But you've got to be in it to win it. So check out the link, get involved, because if you don't apply, you can't win.
Connecting. Hi. All right. Yeah, I wasn't sure how this was going to work out. How's that for a view? Are we good?
Yep, we're good.
All right. Well, how are you, Laura?
I'm great, thank you.
I'm doing great. Having a great day today. So, where else would I rather be than right now, right here?
Awesome. I'm super excited for a while.
Yeah, it's been a while. Oh, I don't know. That was the picture I think I just took. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So please tell everyone who you are.
Yeah, so I am a transformational coach. I work with folks now, to help them become the best version of themselves through health and fitness. It's really combining the mind, the body, and the spirit. Right? We can't. As I've developed as a coach, as a trainer, as a speaker, as an author, the one thing that has kind of that I've learned is that you need to take a whole person approach to change, and so that's what I do as a transformational coach. But I'm also a writer and an author, and with the help of you, I helped publish Amazon #1 best-selling book titled "Find Your Playlist." So it's quite the journey that I've been on, and super happy to have you be part of it. And to be honest, without the help of you and your publishing, I wouldn't be here right now. So thank you very much.
So tell everyone the name of your book and what the inspiration was.
Yeah, so the title of it's called Find Your Playlist. And for me, Find Your Playlist it started out just really as I needed to figure out who I was. I had, if you read the book, and when you get into the book, chapter 1 is probably one of the darker days. I had a lot of rock bottoms, and chapter 1 was one of them where I just really wasn't, I was at kind of the end of the rope in terms of, my failure, personally, just battling, internal depression. I'm one of those people that, when people probably saw this, they were like, oh, well, him, I always try to put a smile on. I mean, do what I can for other people, but internally I had my own battles and own things that I was kind of dealing with. And so Find Your Playlist just started out as exactly that. It was literally a playlist that over time, in me trying to figure out what was going on in my life, why I couldn't change, I just put this playlist together. And in 2016, summer of that, I decided to leave the career that I was in for quite some time. It was a great company. It was a great, I learned an immense amount, but I just needed to do something different with my life. And I took on this journey of becoming a coach and a life coach, and wasn't sure what that would entail. And through doing that, I started to write about my journey. And I was really focused on writing a memoir, and in which I did, and I wrote a good part of it. And I just felt the connection, deep connection to the music and the lyrics. And as I was going through and putting these songs in my playlist, I just felt like every lyric, I felt like Eminem was writing to me, and the Red Hot Chili Peppers had written this song specifically for me because it was my life playing out, not only in music but in the words. And how many people that, can relate to this? How many people, actually listen to the lyrics of the song and the music? We hear the music, right? And there's that saying that when we're happy, we hear music, but when we're sad, we listen to the lyrics. And that's where I was. And so it inspired me to write about my version or my interpretation of those songs and how they impacted my life. And here we are.
I love that. I think the reason we really connected was because music really pulled me through my darker days and my childhood. I love what you said.
Yeah, it's got, music has the power to kind of transcend, and then I specifically say that in the book. It's got the power to not only to pull us out, but it's got the power to bring us together, right? It transcends all barriers that we currently have in life, and it's the one thing, right, when there's tragedy or world tragedy, what are Okay, you're there. All right, good. I thought I lost you.
I don't know what happened then, but it all disappeared.
We're back, though. We're back. No, and I'm not sure. Did you get were you able to hear what I was saying?
Yeah, it transcends everything.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's why I think. Go ahead.
Sorry.
No.
You go deep into many songs that made a big impact on your journey.
Okay. Yeah.
What song has made a bigger influence since the release of your book? And why?
Wow. Since the release, and so it's probably changed. It's tough. I would say probably Just Be, which is from DJ Tiesto. And that is because I have, especially with the progression as a health and wellness coach, that and it has got me back into who I was in my best days as a teen, as an athlete. It's gotten me in the best shape at 37, the best shape of my life. And the message there is to just be yourself. It's, my cousin who works for this wonderful company that we're having this live on Facebook said that to me at one point. Just do you, cuz, and do you and be you, and there's power in simply two words: just be, do you, whatever it is. The message is to find out who you are, right? So find your playlist, figure it out, but more importantly, be you. And so for me, since the book's been released, the journey that I've been on has been exactly that: figuring out exactly who I am and just be it, and coming into my own, into this space as a coach, has been profound for me, because it's got me back into, again, who I am. When we can tap into really who we are at the core, regardless of what other people might think or say or perceive about us, when we can be who we are, and I talk a lot in my lives and things like that about just loving yourself. And this journey has led me on to get to the point where I actually just realistically love who I am. Like, I love exactly who I am right now. And it's taken me some time. I mean, we're going on, it's going to be 2019. This has been a 5 or 4 year progression into this. And am I currently where I need to be? No, but I am light years, from where I was, even when, we did the book, even when we put the book together. So I would have to say that Just Be, again, DJ Tiesto is probably the one that, for me, since the release, has been the most profound and had the most impact. Because simple words, it's an electronic music, it's techno, right? So there's not as many lyrics, say, as the Goo Goo Dolls song, right? But hello, Hazel. Yeah, but it has been the one that's gotten me back into who I am. And if there's any advice I can give for anyone out there, successful, not successful, and we're all successful in our own right if we look at it, in the way that we should look at it, is that we're working towards something, right? But it's to figure out who you are, and then work and then just be okay with it. And that for me it's been huge.
I love that, and I know since we met, the amount you have grown since we started working together has been insane. What a journey!
Thanks. It's
what have you achieved since the launch of your book?
Pardon?
What is it you've achieved since the launch of your book?
Since the launch of my book, well, #1 best-selling author on Amazon, and also international best-selling author, which was incredible in the first book. And all really thanks to you guys for what you did in the marketing and all that. Featured on Barnes & Noble, so I'm also on barnesandnoble.com, which is a pretty good feat to be 2 of the biggest players in the game. I've also started and then paused, but we re-released the podcast that we do. It's called Motivation Through Music. So that's available on Apple, iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, all those platforms where you can find podcasts. And that is it's similar. It started out with the book. It was the podcast version of the book. And we have since gone into just breaking down music in long form. And my co-host and producer, Steve Bennett, very much. I mean, I know music. I'm very broad in my love of music. He's pinpointed from an intellectual and knowledge standpoint of, the inner workings of music and the things about artists. He's awesome. And so we break down albums, specific years in music, genres of music, decades, and so we just kind of go through and run the gamut, and each week's kind of a different feature. And once we ran out of titles for the book, we're like, okay, well, where do we take this? And so we've got a pretty good following in where I'm from in New York, also out in Colorado, and then some in Canada as well. So we're trying to kind of get that out as well. And then since then, I've also, when I wrote the book, I was doing training. I was a group trainer in the fitness world, then went into a little bit of management, and have since launched my own Mac Fitness. So I do personal training as well as online personal training and fitness training. And it's more than that. It's the whole scope, It's 100% approach to change, because that's the only way that change lasts, right? There's fads, there's ins, there's outs, there's what I call the teeter-totters, which so many people go up and down on. And so what I feel I can do for clients is really help them, because the biggest reason why we don't have lasting change is that we haven't changed the mindset or our view of ourselves, right? Especially if we're used to an image that we've held of ourselves for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, or even 40 into your 50s. Change is possible, and helping people get right what they need to get right first, which is what's going on up here. And so that's what I do now, and I'm working on the next book to complement Find Your Playlist.
I'm super excited. So I was going to ask you if there's anything in your client. Is there anything you want to share that you've got going on at the moment?
So right now we've got we're into today's Wednesday, so it's the 3rd night of a coaching program. It's called Mac Principles Pre-New Year, New You. And the idea here is, we all know what's coming up. Obviously Christmas is coming up, we love it, but what comes after that is the new year, and it's all for such a large percentage of the world and our population, well, at least, here in the States, and I'm sure abroad, is that when the new year comes, whenever that is, wherever you are, we want to make these changes, right? And so we want to be healthier, we want to quit smoking, we want to get a new job, we want to do all these things. And the reality is that less than 8% of people actually see their New Year's resolution through to its entirety. And it's probably a little bit lower than that. I'd say it's probably from 5 to 8%. And, for me, there's actually a box over here, which I keep my writing in, and I've got my New Year's resolutions from 2010 to 2015, which had pretty much the same thing on for years and years. And it was just so frustrating to see the same thing over and over again, and know that, you just weren't making progress. And that's what led to a lot of the frustration and the depression on my end. And so with this coaching program, it's just it's a free program. It's on Facebook. If you're interested, they can drop a comment in here. We'll definitely add them. Laura, you can add them if there's people that you know that are interested as well. And the idea is to go through the principles, the 3 guiding principles that make up Mac Fitness, and that is the mindset, accountability, and then consistency. And if you can do those things, and those 3 things, which I have through the same platforms, you and I both huge in personal development. You've seen Tony Robbins, you've seen Gary Vee. In fact, Tegan and you guys were there with Gary Vee and Tony Robbins, right? And all the greats. And what I've taken from them is that those 3 things, the MAC principles, if you will, are the things that you must get right, as my dog Cooper's cruising by here. But those are the things that you must get right to have success, to have change, which, you know, if that's what I am, if I'm anything, I'm somebody who is a catalyst for change in others. And those things are things that we need. And so we're going to break down those principles. Today we're doing consistency, which is probably one of the ones you need to get right. So mindset is huge. Accountability, we talked about that. And you can go on the replay. So if you jump in late, you can still have access and watch the videos. But consistency is about, you know, about our habits. It's about our routines. It's about the things we do on a daily basis, right? You know, the quote from Aristotle about excellence is, you know, not an act, but it's a habit. And we repeatedly do. And that pertains to, okay, well, how am I going to make the changes that I want to do in 2019? And it's through that. And then tomorrow and Friday, we'll get into the nutrition side of things. We'll debate questions on certain diets and fads. Friday will culminate with some training stuff, and then Saturday we'll talk coaching and how you can engage in a coaching relationship. And anyone that's in the actual Facebook group, the 12-week breakthrough program, which is primarily what will lead to, if clients or people that are in the group wish to do that, significant holiday deals going on for those that are in the group and really serious about making change in their life. So that's what we got going on right now.
I really love that. I love that you started before Christmas.
Yeah.
So this time last year we did our board at Date with Tony Robbins. And one of my main goals was to sign his platinum partners as our authors.
Okay.
By the end of January, we signed our first partner.
Really? Congratulations. Awesome. Yeah.
So I think
and that's huge.
If you start before the new year, then before New Year, there's so much better chance of keeping into it.
Oh yeah, and you got it, and that's the reason, is to get it going prior to that, because why wait? Why wait? Everyone does it, post New Year. If you can do it before the New Year, get at it. And once we get into holiday, that's why I did it this week. Is once you get into next week and in the weeks after, everyone's in holiday. They're on cruise control for the most part. And so if we can get and lay the groundwork for what you want to do now, start thinking about it now. I'm sure a lot of people have already thought about it, but if you can put that into action and put it into play, man, you're going to set yourself up for success in 2019.
Best 2019 ever.
Absolutely.
So what are your plans and goals for 2019?
So the goal for 2019 is first and foremost, well, not first and foremost, but one of the big ones is to get that second book out there. That is, that's a goal of mine. I'm not sure. I'm hoping that a good friend of mine will, thank you very much, David. I'm hoping a good friend of mine will want to co-author it with me. He's a genius when it comes to the science behind the movement and mobility and the functionality of it, which is, I'm big on that. I'm obviously not a bodybuilder. I'm big on functional health, on athletic performance, on athletic health. And so we'll see where that goes. We're also kind of talking about a second podcast, which would be focused on including the mind and in fitness. So it's kind of both parts. I don't want to lead the title yet before we've got it either trademarked or that stuff. But so that is one of the things, and really expanding. Well, first, I get in trouble if I don't say this. I'm getting married, so in 2019, the goal of mine is to have an amazing wedding, which We'll be getting married June 1st, 2019. My loving fiance. So that's number one, right? Let's get that. I mean, let me really make that pretty obvious. But other than that, is to really take Mac Fitness to the next level and to continue to watch Mac Fitness grow and get those principles out there as best I can. So, I'm still doing speaking engagements with the focus on the coaching. I've gotten away from it, but I love speaking. I love spreading. I think from that platform, you can speak into a number of people at one time. What's the beauty behind, doing public speaking, being able to be this motivational speaker. So I don't have that much on the docket for that yet because some of the other things that I've got going on. But the one thing that I stress to people all the time, until you get to that point where you're uber productive, which I'm not, obviously on the Tony, these super mega guys level yet in terms of their productivity with teams and things like that. But is keeping that focus on what's the priority right now. And the priority now for me is to continue the growth with Mac Fitness, continue the growth with the podcast and all that stuff, and then get the writing moving and grooving.
Yay! I'm super excited to have the next book.
Yeah, as am I.
Gifted this year.
Yeah, all right. I love it. And actually, you remind me there are a couple of people that have asked for it, so I've got to send those out. They're good. I mean, it's a good gift. Is it my best? They think the best is always yet to come for us, but for those people that just aren't in a right place, and I think today in the world we live in, and if you were on the coaching groups live yesterday, the live presentation where, what I said was it's the best of times and it's the worst of times, because we are in the best of times because we've got this information at our fingertips and the disposal, and we've got so many tools to help us succeed and move on and excel. But then it's the worst of times because we live in this world where there's instant everything. It's literally at our fingertips, and we've never had the comparisons that we've had to make, right? Social media is great, but on the flip side of it, so many people battle. I mean, coaching clients that I deal with now, what do we see? We see this Instagram and this Snapchat and the Facebook world, and we only catch glimpses of people, right? And one, without getting into specifics, I had a client that, we're making comparisons to somebody that probably wants to be like them and they want to be like them, but all we catch is that moment. So I think today getting our mental health right and in the right order is one of the most important things that we can do. And for anyone that's struggling, I think the book is a pretty easy read, and it's a very relatable subject matter. And that's what I've gotten anything from feedback from people is that they love the vulnerability, which I think we all can express a little bit more vulnerability, and when we do so, we really understand that a lot of people are experiencing the same things we are, and the shame and the doubt and all these things. We all have a vulnerability on some level, and that for me, that was a huge rewarding moment when I would get those messages or those letters. Not fan mail, but I did get letters from people, and that was reassuring that, as I wrote the book, I said, if this changes one person's life, that's what I set out to do, and it definitely did. So I'm very happy with that.
It's a powerful book, and it's not just raw and real. It is funny in places, so you take us down to the darkness, but you do it in a fun, charismatic way. So well written.
Thank you very much. Yeah, we'll hope the next one. Yeah, and the next one hopefully will be a kind of a transformation from that, kind of the growth from that moment on to kind of where we are today, and then what we need to do, which is kind of put our feelings aside, and just to quote Nike's tagline, just do it sometimes, and so
yeah. We quote that all the time.
Yeah.
That's our quote for everything. Jump in and get it done.
Yeah. We get in our own way so often, right? And that's the struggle I think we all have. You know, and that's the beauty behind having a coach, is they help us get out of our own way. Because, you know, we'll create situations and stories and things in our heart, in our head, that just that they're not there. You know, and when you have that person that you can bounce ideas off, or you have that person you can open up to, and you know, and little prelude, I think that's the word, into February, I believe the fiance and I will be discussing relationships. So in our lives, we'll be talking about that. But, you know, there's always going to be room for improvement, and being able to communicate and express yourself openly and honestly is probably one of the most difficult things to do, right? Communication is so important, you know, on a world scale and on a personal and individual scale, whether you're communicating effectively with yourself, you know, your feelings, your emotions, whether you're communicating with your significant others, whether you're communicating with your kids. As you know, you do a great job with that, and your little ones are amazing. But, you know, communication is so, I think, underrated. And so we're going to dive into that. And she's so much smarter than I am. She's a licensed clinical mental health counselor. So when I need help, I don't have to look very far. But so we're going to explore that in February. So that's another thing that's going to come. I don't know if it'll be the entire month we'll be doing it, but we'll be featuring that, because obviously Valentine's Day, couples, relationships. So yeah, a bunch of different ideas moving forward. But, you know, the thing that I like and enjoy doing is helping getting folks to help them communicate their feelings and their thoughts and the things that are kind of going on there, and getting out of their own way. So the coaching relationship is just, it's one that for me, it's a beautiful thing. Not only seeing when working with my own coach and helping see me break my own walls down, but when I'm helping the client see beyond and really develop, because the coaching relationship isn't like this. I'm talking a lot now, but and when I'm with a client, you know, and just letting them open up and discovering the answers for themselves, because, you know, when you arrive, you know, when you have the question, I forget the exact quote that it goes, but when you found the question, the answer isn't far off, right? And the answer is usually within us. We're just unwilling to ask ourselves, right? As Robin say, you know, your life is in relation to the quality of questions you're willing to ask yourself. And so many of us, we just don't even think of that, right? We weren't trained or taught or learned how to ask ourselves questions. But it's one of the most powerful tools that we have. So
it really is. That's a really amazing. That is literally life changing.
No, it's been for me.
If you just change that one question, you consistently tell yourself every day, that one question, you can kind of reprogram that.
Yeah, and when I work with clients, especially when it comes to weight loss, and you focus on, you know, and I said this before yesterday, and I'll say it frequently, is, you know, is life happening to you, or is it happening for you? And in that sense, is life happening to you, right? And this person that has life happening to them is, why does this always happen to me? Why can't I lose the last 15 pounds? Why does this not fit right? Why is this person so lucky? You know, and the person that's having life in the philosophy shift to life's happening for you is, okay, this has happened. I mean, I'm 40 pounds overweight. What do I need to do? How do I need to change? And there are two different ways. And it's a simple frame of mind. And literally, you're asking yourself, instead of why can't I lose these last 15 or 20 pounds, how am I going to, right? Because the life's happening to me is why, and life's happening for me is, okay, how do I do this? And a simple shift when working. Now, it's easy. You've got to follow through on that, and that's where the accountability of working with the coaches. But again, just the Q&A there is profound.
And I love that you have a coach. I think it's really important for people that are out there coaching to have their own coach.
Well, yeah, I mean, you know, look at, you know, guys like Tony Robbins. I mean, these guys, they have people that are their coaches that they go to and challenge their level of thinking. And I say this oftentimes is, look at athletes, right? You know, they've got coaches that they work with, strength and conditioning, technique, whatever it might be, a mobility coach. I mean, they have them because they want to get better, right? They understand, you know, and I'm looking at, you know, a Confucius quote, but It says to know. What is it? To know is to know that you know nothing. That is the meaning of true knowledge, right? Knowing that you, in the grand scheme of things, you really know very little. You, I, and everyone. We know very little about ourselves. We know very little about the world and the mind and the body. And we're just continually learning this. And that is the essence, I think, of professional development and personal development. But yeah, if you're a coach and you don't have a coach, I mean, you know, are you living into what you do? Right?
Yeah. My favourite thing in the world is learning something that I didn't know.
Yeah. It's right. That's profound. Wow, I didn't even know that I didn't know that. Wow. And yeah, it's like, oh man, very eye-opening experiences, right?
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for spending your time with us today. It's been super awesome to have you on.
Loved it. I loved it. Thanks so much for having me. And obviously, you and I are continuing in contact, so we'll be back in contact. And I appreciate you guys. Where are you now? You're in Romania, correct?
Romania. White
Yeah.
Christmas.
Absolutely. Hey, I'm from Western New York, so we're hoping for the same White Christmas. So thanks again for everything. Thanks for the help with the book. Thanks for the interview and for all that you do. And say hi to Tegan and the fam for me.
I will. Thank you so much, Matthew. I'll speak to you soon.
Cheers.